Okay, so should we have a drink?
Yes, we should.
Yes. for the shot. That's a good shot. Okay, here we go.
This is great.
Thank you.
This is like the Andy Cohen style. Get some drinks.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, welcome to Dark Island. This is the weekend show. Usually we talk about documentaries, but today we're doing another unscripted type of show, which is Vanderpump Rules, the reunion. Vanderpump Rules, the reunion. This is obviously a show, both of us picked this up very late, and usually we talk about documentaries that are maybe more serious, maybe not, but this actually is a great use of the format of unscripted, even though some of the parts seem a bit more forced than others. But yeah, it's actually a really great show, I think.
Yeah, Vanderpump blew me when I started watching. My girlfriend watches it. It is wildly entertaining. I love it. I look forward to it. And the reunion, the 3-part reunion, is just like juicy. I love it.
Well,
like,
and so
like it'll make a convert out of you even if I think like of this genre, which I often overlook. I'm like, why is it worth my time to just see another the whole Kardashian inspired genre of television? But like there is something great. The art of a good cast and good drama is difficult, and this one gets it down. There's not that many contrived moments. The reunion really brings out how much genuine tension and drama there is between the cast members.
For sure. And just to stay on theme, because usually when we're talking about documentary, we talk about the main driving force for a lot of the best documentaries are great characters, right? And great characters don't only exist in the person you see in a foreign country who's doing something you never heard of, or the person who's the center of a scandal or whatever. Vanderpump, just like a lot of successful reality shows, and unscripted is really the whole genre because it goes beyond just like reality competition. It has a different name, but reality. So you're talking about like David Chang's cooking show, or you're talking about Vanderpump Rules, or you're talking about whatever, Real World or the Jersey Shore. The most successful ones have those intensely either charismatic or charismatically hateable or just hilarious in their everyday movements characters. And it's not because they're acting necessarily. It's not because they're Tony Stark, trying to act like the cool person who, does play it well. They're actually like, I don't know, they're so great. So Vanderpump, just like Jersey Shore, who has just this lucky assembly of, a Snooki, or who's like just one of the most ridiculous people to ever land on reality TV. Or like I say, like this for Reza, for Shaws of Sunset. I just think he's also like just a reality show gem, especially when he had that mustache back in, the early seasons where he looked like he's like, I'm the only, gay guy who looks like Saddam Hussein out here.
Clearly we have a genuine reality TV fan in the room. Yeah, so, I have seen all that. Yeah,
and it's always about character, and that's the same thing that links all unscripted, is that you get character in such a way that you don't get in fiction, and I think Vanderpump is a great example of that. So let's go through some of the characters.
Lisa Vanderpump, the matriarch of the whole thing. I love the structure of that, how she's kind of has this maturity above the rest of them, who all kind of go at each other's throats. And even though there's some drama between her and others, she seems to be the only one who's kind of beyond reproach in a way.
And she puppet masters it. She definitely gives you the impression, especially thinking about how she's kind of like invested in the show Vanderpump Rules being a successful show.
Yes.
Especially on the reunion. Like one of the things we found out on the reunion is that she's saying that Raquel, is James Kennedy's girlfriend, right? Who has the ridiculous flares on the sleeves when she comes in, and the whole drama about it. She's like, Raquel's like, I may or maybe, not be getting a new job. And Lisa's like, you've got the job. You're working at Sir. And she's like, because it's like, Lisa's like, yeah. I'm keeping this drama storyline alive. Like, that's what's going on.
Absolutely.
And then the same thing with the what is pissing a lot of people off, Tom Sandoval defending James Kennedy against everyone, even though James Kennedy is acting like an ass to everyone, and Tom Sandoval's defending her. I feel like Tom knows how to fight for the king or the queen, which is Lisa. And Lisa's like, I can't go out there and defend James Kennedy to like 9 other people, but if you do that, that's like good, because we need that, because we need the James Kennedy storyline. Because one of the things this show does so well is that it keeps you upset about certain characters, and it doesn't just like let you be upset about a character and then be like, okay, we're gonna like write them off the show for forever. They keep around all these characters that people are hating and are doing horrible things, or at least being very mean to each other. And they keep them around. So
something I noticed, so I've watched the first and second reunion twice now at least, and I've noticed, is it a little uneven?
No, I'm just doing that for myself.
Something I started to notice watching it the second time around, because we were talking about this, the behind the scenes element, because generally they're not supposed to talk about their quarrels as it pertains. They're not supposed to break the fourth wall, so to speak, and talk about their anger between each other and who's putting forth what to the show. And I started to James, who's like the most hated character for any of you who aren't super familiar. He had this storyline where it was a sympathetic storyline of him helping financially his family, and I didn't quite understand why everyone else started getting really pissed off when it was doing that. And you mentioned, oh, they're so mad that he has this storyline, which kind of made me think of the meta element of it, which is they get pissed at each other. And it happens with Lala too. Like, she has a relationship that she doesn't share, and it makes other people mad. And so they have these arguments where it's just about who helps their family more. But I got the sense that really it's also about the show. They're clearly watching the show themselves, and I think there's some bitterness about, why are you giving James that storyline? You could give anyone else a sympathetic storyline and just make James look like a piece of shit, but because it's a TV show, you can't just have him be 100% shit. He needs to have one little saving grace so he can stay on. And what you're insinuating now is, like, for Lisa, it's probably good that the James storyline is there, so you need someone to defend him, because if no one defends him, it's like, why is he even on the show? And so it's funny because they're not gonna ever, I think there must be some unwritten rule in reality where they're not gonna say, hey, it's bullshit. Like, the producers filmed some storyline about me helping my parents too, but they edited that shit out. They can't argue that way on the show, but then so the anger is real, but they're not allowed to kind of address the element of production and editing, even though I'm starting to notice as I watch twice that maybe some of the anger comes from that angle.
Yeah, well, you can tell that there's always this thing of like, I don't want him. So basically, James Kennedy this season gets fired from SUR for calling another woman fat and also rapping about another guy who cheated on his girlfriend in front of like hundreds of people. So those two things basically get him fired.
Which was like after they had made up, right? It was like they're friendly, and she was like in the front row cheering him on while he's rapping. And then it's like, oh, the relationship's repairing, and then he decides to freestyle rap and eviscerate the girl cheering him on and reference how her fiance has cheated on him.
Yeah, this is Jackson Brittany.
Yeah, Jackson
Everyone
Brittany.
Who knows every character.
Yes, one of the other standout characters.
Yeah, so these two things get him fired, and there's a part where Katie, who's basically the person who was called fat, who facilitated him getting fired, basically by going up to Lisa and going, I feel like this is an unsafe workplace. Like, he is aggressive, which he is, and he says mean things all the time, which he does. And so she gets him fired over this, or at least she prompts Lisa to then realize, I need to fire you because you're disrespectful to like the other staff. And then on this show, she's like, well, then why were you guys following him? We all do stuff for our family. And it's just like, oh yeah, why are you guys following him? Is like, you're creating more storyline for him, as opposed to actually not only firing him from SUR, but firing him from the show. Which is like, you can tell, like, it goes deeper. It's like, get rid of him. I don't understand. We don't like him.
Get him out of our friend goop.
Yeah, and I mean it's true because he's like super hateable this season, especially.
His anger it comes out, and especially in the last 2 episodes of the reunion, he just spits hate. He just spits acid on everyone, and the weirdest thing about it is he does it to he's on the verge of being so hated there is no reason for him to be even involved with them, and then the only few people, basically 2, who ever defend him, he tells to fuck off at one point or another.
It's so great,
which is so you just don't even get. He can't even hold it together.
Yeah, it's like a comedy that like reminds me also of Trump, where he says the opposite thing passionately both times. Right? It's like when Raquel was saying to him, they invited me to the girls' night. And he's like, yeah, I was pissed off that you went or whatever. Like, oh, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. And she's like, but James, I didn't go because you didn't want me to go. And then he's like, oh, great, I'm glad you didn't go. I'm very glad. It's like, okay.
I wanted to talk about Jax a little bit.
Yeah, talk about Jax.
I chime in and out of this show as my girlfriend watches it. I've recently become like, don't watch this without me now. Like, stop starting the episode, wait till I'm home and let's watch it together because I don't want to miss the content. And one of the most surprising things is Jax, who as a character I know only as like a mistake maker and a serial cheater on the woman Brittany that he's currently engaged to.
But in the most hilarious way, which is like he's caught and he still denies it, and he denies it, and then it's I've told you my favorite moment of like the flashback is from last season where Jax is caught because he's cheated on his future fiance with this woman Faith, and she's like, did you do it? And he's like, yes. It's like, rotten hell. It's like the greatest clip ever. It's like, and so anyway, so he's just like, he just is always getting fucked, and then he lies about it on top of it, and he's caught, and then he has to admit it. And it's funny how the show goes that deep. It catches all the moments. There was a scene where she had, I think it was last season, where she had to watch some recording of him, like either admitting it or cheating on her or something. There was some recording, and she like was presented it while she was drunk at a party, and just all hell breaks loose. It's just insane. And so anyway,
and this has been Jax's storyline. It's how you know him.
He's the most insane, incredible character maybe laid to reality TV in a way.
Yeah, which is what makes this season so interesting, which is total juxtaposition. He's Mr. Buttoned Up, he's newly engaged, and he's on the straight and narrow, and he's like reinvented himself. He just seemed, and he's with the other guys in the group, he's like playing the mature card. He's the one who kind of acts like he's above it all, which I'm like, what the fuck is this show? I thought Jax was the fuck up, like Mr. Serial Cheater, can't keep his shit together whatsoever, constantly defending his bullshit lies from the girl that he keeps going back to and keeps taking him back for some reason. And then this season, he's acting like he's the only one who's above stupid drama and doesn't make mistakes. And it's so weird. And then there's one episode where Brittany brings back up the infidelity, and he has to confront his future in-laws, like her dad and her brothers, and they kind of want to have a heart-to-heart. Is like, as long as you don't hurt her, but if you fuck up again, like you're gonna have to answer to us. And he just has this attitude where he's like, oh, I can't believe I'm put upon to be, accosted by this reality again.
By her family. Why are they so hard on me?
Yeah, I can't believe her family's like, it's like we're engaged. I've been good for like 3 months and they're still, a little shaky on trusting me, which is so, that was kind of the flicker of like, oh, wait, has this whole season been an act that could just break down? And even one of his best friends, Tom Sandoval of The Thing, is like, I know how amped you can get if you get a new job or you get a new girlfriend or whatever it is, where you're like, this is my life now. And then you're on some new track until eventually that, wears off and then you're back to your partying, which is like, as you mentioned, probably just subtext for like, back to cheating, actually.
That's what he's suggesting, and Jack's like, you're supposed to be my best man, or basically like, are you in my wedding? Or you're not in my wedding? Are you in my wedding?
Do you want to be? Yeah, which of course is always a good sign where to someone it's not about the actual relationship, but it's about the event of the wedding. That is the threat of the wedding. That's the biggest threat. Yeah, is what the actual day is going to be, and not maybe lasting relationships that are.
It is a bit bizarre, but it's also very fitting because it is funny how Jax is on this. He's on this good path. Realistically, it actually doesn't seem like he's cheated, whereas like after he cheated last season or 2 seasons ago where he was having the Reiki master healing sessions we're like, oh no, Jax. He's like, yeah, the Reiki sessions really make me feel good. And it's like him face front with this like other woman who's like rubbing him and being like, just like, and you're just like, oh my God. Once the cameras leave this room, this is, anyway, it's just, you don't know that for sure, but he's really one of the greatest characters. And
hate him or love him, he is very entertaining. He's one of the best.
And the other thing is like Brittany too, aside from being just abused emotionally by his situation, seems like such a high quality person, which is like really tough. And then like James Kennedy comes in and disses her all the time for no reason. It's really hard.
I think Lisa even said, he's like, well, Jax, he's running around, but he's come back to lock her down because she's the best. I think she says she's the best person that would put up with you. Like she's the best quality person that would put up with you. And it's like, he's like, It seems like he knows that for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
why does James lashes out? Yeah, let's lash out at one of the demonstrably nice people who's like not an asshole.
He just rips. It's really horrible.
And then he's best friends with Lala, who's like the most out of control, meanest.
But Lala,
I'm not better than anyone, but like I know when I'm better than
Lala is attractive, and that's basically like it's pretty obvious how James Kennedy views the world. He's basically like, are you hot? Are you rich? Are you attractive? Like that's his like. At least that's what he projects to the world. And he basically always goes after people for the most ridiculous. He goes after people for fat and old. That's like his 2 moves. You're either fat or you're old. And like, so Jax is old to him, which is weird because it's like, he's going to be as old as Jax, like within 10. I don't know how much older Jax is than him.
Is Jax old?
Jax is like almost 30s? 40.
Oh, okay.
And James Kennedy's like in his mid-20s or something. He's
in his mid-20s?
I think he's pretty young, yeah.
Oh, I can't even tell.
Yeah, they all just get to play in the same like age range. But yeah, I think James Kennedy's significantly younger. But Kristen, picked him out. She picked out the little whatever.
Oh, Kristen picked him out. He's just affiliated with the best of the bunch.
Yeah, no, and so
Kristen, the most unstable person, and Lala, the most I'm done. I'm finished. Oh, bored with this conversation. The best quote that they keep replaying is, she goes, I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just know when I'm above someone. It's my favorite.
Lala,
that kind of sums up the way she fights.
What is interesting is I go with the general consensus, which I feel like a lot of people think that some of the previous few seasons were a little bit better and more exciting than this one, because this one was. It was like Tom the bar is opening up, and Jax is correcting his life, and James Kennedy is basically ripping into everyone and then having a breakdown and then having to be lectured on, why he's mean and why he was fired from SUR, and Lala's kind of losing it. A lot of people lost family members, which is kind of like why they were really losing it and changing their characters around in the show. But so didn't have as much of the traditional just cheating and getting drunk drama like that was happening in all the other seasons.
They're growing up.
Yeah, but it's, so I agree with that general consensus, but it is funny to see some of the characters turn on a dime. So it's really funny because I remember that I liked pretty much all of the characters. It's really funny. And some of the things that the characters say take me from like hating them to loving them in a quick second. So it's like Sheena on the reunion, right? So Sheena is like pretty like annoying on the show most of the time, and it's a running theme where she's like way too obsessed about certain guys and pretends they're the greatest. And they had this thing about her boyfriend from last season who she was acting like was the manliest man ever because he like did some handyman type task or something, and then like he installed a TV, or I don't even know what it was, and then this season she's trying to go after this bar back at Sir, this thing, and then she like goes after 2 or 3 like random other guys who are just models, and like invites the cameras on a date and like makes out with them or fucks them or whatever she and then on the show, and then there are like all these people who are clearly kind of starved for attention, and she's just like all over the place, and they take her on the reunion and they're like, Sheena, like what's the deal? You're like definitely going after these like really low quality people that people are warning you about. And she's like, I like fuckboys and they're hot.
And you're like drop their drinks.
And you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Delivery. It's like, I mean, you reverse the genders there. No one's going to have an issue with that. And she's just like, you don't understand what, I don't care if they want the camera. They're hot. And I wanted to, like, okay, well, Lisa has a problem with that, though. She thinks that Sheena's really into him, which maybe she is, but at least her explanation was a mic drop. It was
a good line, yeah.
TV. Great moment, even though she gives us all these kind of hateable moments and other times. But also, like, Lala, I feel like, did the reverse turn this season. So, like, Lala is funny because I think that Lala is... like her insistence on talking about private jets and calling them PJs all the time and saying she'll give a BJ for a PJ.
Yeah.
It's like too much. It's like really tough. And then she takes issue with people saying that she kind of like seems like she's willing to prostitute herself out for like really.
She's the one who says she's basically willing to prostitute.
If my guy doesn't want to be with me, I can find another guy who I can
give a BJ to. Yeah,
to get on private jets, which is like, it's kind of hateable, but she has also like a lot of really other funny parts of her personality, which in other seasons came through more than this one.
But I was just going to say that as for the reunion, I mean, that's a big conversation where she got engaged. It was clearly this over-the-top engagement with Randall, who her producer fiance, who she references all the time, references the PJ all the time, her whole life, the cars that are bought for her. She makes it a big part of the show. I mean, you don't know Lala in the show without knowing about Randall, her boyfriend or her fiance, and his wealth and what he provides. And then she has this great engagement. It's not in the TV show. The other cast members are calling her out like, hey, we put 100% into the show and you don't. She's like, well, I'm like too important. Like maybe if you had like as good, lives at my level, you'd have things worth protecting, which to me, the only thing that makes that bullshit is like, wait a second, like you totally reference it, including your pop career, your like pseudo pop career, which is funded by Randall.
Yeah, no, right? Well, who knows if it's funded by him, but I mean, she like all of them probably makes a decent amount of money, but definitely not private jet money. So that part is funded by him, obviously. But it's like they are. She has lines. She's a great reality character. The problem was this season, she really was not that likable, which is kind of tough because she was pretty likable in other seasons. Like, and there are moments where I did like and agree with her. Like when Billy Lee's going after her, I'm like, oh God, just another one.
I don't like Lala. I just dislike Billy
in that scenario.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, just
and then there's Lala going after, but then they say like Lala wore this like. Sometimes she wears these things that are so obnoxious. Like she wore some like Gucci headband, and I was like, that is the grossest looking thing I've ever seen on the show. But then she wears in that other scene, she wears the like J-Lo throwback like Oscar or whatever the fuck it is.
She's
that like
fucking tearing through the place, getting in fights with everyone in sight.
She's wearing like it's like this green flowy outfit that J-Lo wore at some famous thing a long time ago. Matt Stone and Trey Parker actually, when I think they got invited to the Oscars and they like cross-dressed the Oscars, and one of them wore that J-Lo outfit. Lala rocks that outfit just on a random day to go to Sir, and then tears into it, like has this crazy fight, lies about it. I mean, she delivers the character. She's entertaining to watch, but Definitely. It was a little bit tough to not like her that much this season compared to.
Yeah, I mean, this season I thought she's one of the most unlikable of the characters. Yeah. But, I mean, entertaining. She stands out.
They all are entertaining. I mean, I think who would you say is the most likable this season?
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I I like the Toms generally.
Yeah, it does change around, but they
and I like, and I mean, Bo and Stassi are like, I love them both. They're like, they're the
actual
like
real people that you actually might know.
Yes, Bo. They seem like real people you might actually know,
the others
and
are like beyond belief. Like I couldn't. It's hard to imagine knowing someone like any of the other characters. But Bo and Stassi seem like you could possibly know them in your real life, even though they all exist like within our general area here. But and
the only ones with like a relationship that would be like have some semblance of desirability. They're like the positive ones. Like they're like oh, I love that relationship. Sans drama.
Well, yeah.
Except for the hidden, what does she call it? Stassi's
dark passenger.
Dark passenger, which is of the drama. Getting drunk and getting mad at your boyfriend for like partying later than you want him to is a pretty, it's not it's not the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's pretty relatable. I mean, it sounds like something, any friend could get themselves into.
Yeah.
Do you not agree? I feel like they're likable. Their relationship seems good.
I totally
seems like a desirable, good relationship, and they seem grounded. Yeah, they're like my favorite.
I totally agree. I think that I think it's unfortunate that she has this thing where she basically can go a little bit crazy when she has too many drinks and like she's obviously been really it just seems the way it is presented that she's been very her trust has been betrayed too many times in the past, so that she gets very unhappy if a person she's with wants to like be normal after she has a few drinks and it's late at night. She basically just thinks anyone's going to cheat on her, which is like probably a learned experience.
Mm-hmm.
It is a learned experience. I mean, if enough of the show, she's been cheated on enough. But and she's had some weird, sketchy guys that she's been with. The guy from the last season or 2 seasons ago, I don't know, who was like saying he was like looking at Lisa's ass or something. It was the most awkward thing ever. Do you remember that guy? And then he was like, I'm going to Amsterdam by myself and you're not going to ask me what happened. It was like the weirdest fucking thing.
No.
It was the weirdest.
How about not?
Yeah.
Bo's like the opposite of that. He's like perfect.
He's like, can I hang out with your like friends you've been on a show with for 6 years for like another 3 hours? I'm not gonna go fuck someone next to the pool and like rearrange the pool pillows. You remember that from Mexico 2 seasons ago? What?
So ridiculous.
Yes. That's so great.
I know that's what you're used to or what you've seen, but I'm actually just want to go like hang out with our friends because I'm still drinking and like having fun. She's
a great character. I think she's one of the most likable. I also think she's just very. It is the thing for Bo and Stassi. They seem the most. Even though she has a ton of issues, they seem normal for some reason. I don't even know what normal means in this context, but for some reason you get that feeling of normal.
Yeah.
Whereas like Tom Sandoval is a pretty high quality person, although he's all over the board. Like he's in it a lot in controversial positions. But I think he's speaking for Lisa a lot of the time, even though Lisa's like, I can't say this because I can't be the martyr, but you can be the martyr, and you know what we have to do for this show to keep the right dynamic of hateable people on play and not too much power, not 10 versus 1,
that
make it 9 versus 2.
Amazing. I did not think of that. I just wasn't thinking of it, and that is really interesting because I figured, okay, they have a connection that I don't understand. Like he likes James in a way that I don't get, but maybe he's speaking for Lisa. I just never thought of it that way. I thought, oh, maybe he has a connection for James in a way, and that's why he's vying for, vying for him sometimes, even though he's being kind of a belligerent asshole.
Yeah. So, I mean,
he just takes no line. That's the thing about James's anger is it's so indiscriminate. Usually people, even the biggest assholes, choose like a class to be nice to. So it's like he wants to be the popular kid. You pick the most popular people and you try to be nice to them even if you're totally fake, and then you're just an asshole to the people who you want to exclude. But he's an indiscriminate asshole. He doesn't try to make allies in any way, which is that is what I don't get. It just doesn't make sense how he'll just shank someone who's like, dude, you're drowning. You're about to get killed. And then Tom Sandoval speaks up for him and he's like, fuck you, man. Or he's like, you're bad when you mix, alcohol and other stuff. He's like, what do you mean fucking other stuff?
Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you think? I do. It's like, which is weird. Maybe I'm the weird one, but I'm like, you're a DJ in West Hollywood. The idea that maybe someone does an upper around you is scandalous. I was a little
it's
weird.
It's also like just my understanding of this is a guess, but my guess is that Tom Sandoval is not saying that comment from a position of ignorance or guessing. He's saying it from a position of knowing.
I know.
And James Kennedy's like, what do you mean? And then afterwards he's going to be like, don't even fucking try to, raise that on reality TV. Because James denies stuff like straight up. That was the funny thing about James and Jax. They deny true things like straight up all the time. So you never know when they're telling the truth or denying a lie or whatever.
Because they have some bad shit that can't get out.
Lala and someone else was like, we saw you sucking on that woman's breast in Canada. And James is like, what? I don't know. Like,
why did? Yeah, and Stassi says to his girlfriend, like, why did all these people are accusing him of James of cheating on you, and you don't even want to look into it? And he's like, that's because everyone's trying to bring me down. It's like, yes, that definitely is it. It's funny you bring up Trump because it is like, I'm not crooked. It's just everyone wants to bring me down. That's like your only position once the lies are so riddled throughout. Your only position is like, they hate me and they're all after me.
No, Trump's new meme is actually not. It's I saw it this week. I don't know where it was, but it was like, when they go after me, they're not actually coming after me. They're coming after you. It's like, you're right, Trump. You're right.
I love how
they're not trying to get you and the Russians or you playing favors or like giving pardons to people who shouldn't. They're actually trying to get me and my job. It's like, okay, whatever.
I love how James has been. Trump entered the conversation one way or another.
Why not? I mean,
whoever's
people
the biggest asshole
games
in the room will be compared at one point.
No, it's just it's a funny thing because it's always been a Trump thing. It's just that the way he lies. We've talked about this before, but the way he lies is especially annoying to people because some of the lies are very trivial, like things that you wouldn't expect someone to lie about, and also very easily disprovable, so it makes it really annoying. So not that we were talking about with the whole like they're coming after me, coming after you, whatever he wants to believe or tell his supporters, that's fine, but just it's especially annoying when you see someone who lies about small things. And so like there was an example in this with Ariana trying to kind of come to his defense by telling a truth, like a partial truth, same way as Tom with it's not maybe the drinking, but like the drinking combined. That I think is the problem, James. He was trying to like almost say something nice and real so people could be like, yes, okay, like we can understand what's happening here. We can understand why he's a bit aggressive, whatever. That Ariana tries to do another thing, and she basically says like, you guys, when I went over to their house, the way I understood it was like once they weren't living together for a ton of their relationship. She was out of town. Now they're living together. They have a fresh start. And that's what I feel like is like, that's how and they've had a really good relationship since they moved in.
So yeah,
together.
Whatever happened before they moved in, they kind of agreed to let it go.
She's kind of extrapolating from that. And everyone's like, oh, so that's it. Free pass. And then James Kennedy's like, no, that's not true. It was not a thing. And then it's like, and then they ask Raquel, do you think that James has been faithful to you, entirely faithful to you? And she's like, no, I don't. And that's it. And then it's really kind of over for a while. It's like, no, actually, she just like a lot of the people just kind of accepts that he's been.
But he's like has no interest in maybe being a little bit honest in order to be liked or save some face. Be like, hey, I'm going to be authentic. Like I did cheat, but we have an agreement and it's cool. He'd just rather be like, fuck, no, it's not.
Yeah. Okay, so we should do predictions for next season.
Predictions?
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen in the future?
Well, the thing I'm most curious about is Jax has done this.
And by the way,
crazy...
I don't know. I don't read any blogs or anything, so I don't know.
Oh yeah,
what anyone's
I'm totally out of the loop with any fan theories. I mean, I feel like I'm not the typical demo, which is why I kind of love how much the show has grabbed me because it's great. And I never would expect to be like, oh yeah, Bravo. Reality programming. That's right.
Well, I like
they deliver some good stuff.
I like $1 Million Listing.
Love it.
I don't actually watch the Real Housewives, like the one that Lisa's on. Beverly Hills.
Do. Yeah.
I don't actually watch that. I have watched episodes.
I mean, Vanderpump is the best.
I watch Vanderpump.
And $1 Million Listing.
I like
great.
all the $1 Million Listings. And
Southern,
I like
there's Southern Charm too, right?
Yeah, I haven't really watched those. I don't actually know those very well. There's another Bravo
like
show. I love
Charm.
Shaws of Sunset. That one I love too.
Yeah, I haven't watched as much.
I guess those are kind of LA centric. I don't know why. That's just kind of a coincidence.
Southern Charm's pretty decent.
Yeah,
I like some of the characters. I haven't watched a ton of it, but I
actually don't know it. So anyway, predictions for next season.
For me,
what do you think? Let's go through the characters.
So Jax is the one that's on my mind just because it's so striking how much he's changed.
Yeah,
and now I've kind of seen him where he feels so put upon when he's asked to talk about his infidelity, and that is like the canary in the coal mine to me. It makes me think you're fully changed as a person, you're evolved, but the idea of having to answer one more time for the multiple infidelities feels like you're being victimized or put on the crucifix. That was very much a red flag, and so I'm kind of one. Like, I hope he stays on this straight and narrow, better path that he seems to be on, of a more maturity and ready for a life and family or whatever, and being good to his significant other. But I just have this sneaking suspicion, especially because Sandoval, one of his best friends, kind of is like, I know how you get on these, like, these new trips and then they fade and then you're back to the booze and the going out. So that to me is the big question mark. And I feel like he is going to something is going to trigger him kind of reverting back to his bad habits. Yeah. Maybe infidelity, maybe just saying something obnoxious. They do a few cutaways to him being like, I'm the alpha male of this group. Just really brutish kind of obnoxious behavior, which he's not been showing for the last season. So I'm that's the big question mark. It's him unraveling back to his old self.
So I'll be the contrarian on this one. I actually think Jax is going to make it at least a season before he cheats. I think he's going to, because I think he's got the wedding coming up. I think he's going to keep it together. And I also think that I believe, although I know Jax is fun and for reality television purposes, it was very fun to see him be this just almost hopelessly like cheater. He couldn't even help himself. It's hilarious in a very bad way, but it made for very good television because it's just a bunch of people in West Hollywood screwing around and having fun, and it doesn't feel like the stakes are all that high all the time. Like, people are obviously getting upset with each other, but it was a very fun character, and I think a lot of people maybe almost want him to screw up, but I think he's gonna hold it out for at least one more season.
But then you think he'll also?
I don't know.
You think it will happen at a certain point?
I think I'll have to revisit the prediction, because I think that Brittany's pretty good. I think he's got the wedding coming up, and
she seems great.
And I think that the experience of his dad dying, I think that actually seems to have affected him so much, to the point where he's not even talking with his mom because of some communication issue about what's going on. So I don't think he's totally resolved with that yet. And it just seems, it seems like
she's so supportive and would help him through that. So
if there is a possibility of a person deciding that they should live differently for the rest of their life, that is certainly an event that could catalyze something like that. And it seems like it has in his case. So to believe that it isn't going to be successful long term is this fight between whether or not a person can ever change or not change. And although usually I kind of think like people do revert, if there is a time for somebody to change, this is as good a reason as you could. This is as believable and possibly lasting a reason as you could possibly find. So I'll go with the Jax makes it at least another season.
I like that. I like that positivity. And I think that's good point.
Brittany, I think, will also have a happy wedding and will not give two fucks if James Kennedy calls her a hillbilly or this is how she looks in her wedding dress or whatever the fuck else is going to come from him to her.
He's so lashing out indiscriminately that it's like, why would you take any insult he throws at you? It's like, it has nothing to do with how good of a person you are.
Just for James Kennedy, saying she was not a looker at some random
time. He even was
like
contrary to Lisa. It's like, which to me is, well, I don't know. If I was on that show, I'm like, Lisa is queen. Like, fucking don't, like, know your loyalties. Like, she is the one who you should not cross. She's the fucking reason you're all on this show. She's your employer. Like, I don't know. To me, some of them do push against Lisa, but they kind of have earned that level. The Toms, for example.
Or you slightly
Lisa's like, why are you so angry? He's like, I'm not angry.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I'm saying sometimes when they're pushing against Lisa, you maybe think it might be a planned plot point, like where Ariana is pushing against Lisa over the bar. Like
yeah, because who would really dare push against her?
Well, I mean, you could dare, but to do it at like, oh, let's do it at the get together with everyone there, and then I'm going to confront Lisa about how she's not giving my Toms the right respect, and it's like. Maybe Lisa is, I don't know. It's a little bit complex. That one, I think, is still to be
A part of me
determined.
wonders if they just know that, like, hey, we're on the show, we're going to speak openly.
Yeah, and
versus be like, oh, I'm going to be reserved and pull her aside when there's cameras around still and do it.
Or they're just like, yeah, I get to play, and we know how far we can play before someone says, no, you're taking it too far. Mm-hmm. Like, because it is,
and Lisa probably has a fair play attitude about it as well, think so. Right? Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I mean, I'm sure you're right.
Well, because
Lisa seems savvy, at least in this way.
She's
built a fucking
own,
empire of restaurants and reality TV
with like 6 other women,
where she does
been doing
get
this for
dramatic.
years and years, where she is in the fray much more than she is in this show.
My initial impressions of Lisa Vanderpump was so sophisticated, badass entrepreneur. And I watch her a little bit on the Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she is like feisty and way more into the drama than I thought. I don't know if just like I'm being seeing British accent entrepreneur. She's sophisticated. She's above the fray. No, she's not above the fray. I like her, but she's totally not.
Whether she's playing in the game of the 6 women that she's playing in on the Real Housewives, or
she gets into it more,
or she gets to play the like almost the host show, like on The Bachelor. Like she gets to be the Chris Harrison, who's like just gets to pretend he's above the fray all the time and gets to occasionally have a one-on-one conversation with someone or mediate between 2 different drama events. But it's like
then Andy's really above the fray, even though he kind of yells a couple times. Andy's like, people get so
random person from random place says you're a tramp.
He gets it. It's not me saying it. I'm just saying what the viewers want to say.
Okay.
It's so great.
Everything you say might sound something, but are you full of shit? Because everyone thinks you're full of shit.
Yeah. I mean, we're not talking about him as a character, but I do kind of love Andy Cohen. He's interesting. He used to be a television exec, and then he kind of built this, front of the camera career for himself. I don't know. I think he's, pretty smart seeming. I like him.
He knows how to keep it entertaining.
He
certainly keeps it in the fray, because a lot of people have done that job, the whole we're going to be reunion host job, and it's pretty good to have someone who can do it well.
And he feels so enmeshed in it. He's got his own show, Watch What Happens Live. He is interacting with everyone. He's got the, we're copying, have the drinks on the show. He keeps it fun. I don't know. He kind of seems like a boss of this little Bravo reality TV show world that he's made.
I'm definitely a net positive on Andy. I don't know.
Unless you've seen something.
I don't actually watch a lot of the Andy Cohen stuff. I really only see him in the role that he plays on these.
On this,
I don't watch.
Which he does well in, don't you think? I mean, he's good at kind of letting the chaos break free and then being like, all right, shut the fuck up. I wanted to hear what so-and-so was saying, and let them finish.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good balance of that.
I think the only problem is we just watched the reunion, and he had that whole bit where he has to go into Tom's sidecar, and then it breaks down, and I was like, oh my God, did you guys not have enough footage? I don't understand why this was on the show.
I know. And I opened this up with this is actually pretty not contrived. Yeah. It's contrived. I don't love that. But the thing that I love about it is, even if it's not showing everything that's true, there's clearly animosity between the two of them, and there's clearly some likability between them too. Between all the characters, just generally in the show. I mean, that is an example that kind of flies against what I was saying, which is it's just this contrived little.
Okay, let's get through all the other predictions so far. Okay, so Beau and Stassi, where are they going?
God, they need a new storyline. They're not dramatic. I mean, I like them so much. I feel like they're, the dark passengers. Stassi kind of, as you described it, it's almost like she's used to shitty guys. So now that she's finally with someone, where with Beau, I'm like, he's a actually genuinely good person and good for her. She's not ready. She's prepared for shitty. So she's not doing the right thing when someone good comes along.
Yeah.
But it's not that, I don't know. They're going to have to create some drama for them. I don't know. Are they going to follow her? It sounds like she has a decent media business she's building on the side. They're promoting a podcast show she's coming out with. She's got a book coming out.
Podcast.
Yeah.
she's
it sounds like they're making a show out of it now, or is that maybe just promoting her podcast?
that was her going on some other person's podcast.
Got it.
The whole Lady Gang thing
shows how much I like read and know outside of it. It seems like she's kind of has.
Do they have a podcast too?
Would they want to follow? I mean, it seems like she's pretty entrepreneurial with like other stuff, which was so shitty when James is like, "Oh, you've got a book coming out. Who gives a fuck?" I was like, that is the meanest, most pessimistic thing ever to like shit on a book someone's trying to come out with.
It is weird where
is coming out with
stuff that James says sometimes, like. As much as I ultimately am a supporter of him being on the show, because I think good, bad, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, even if he's not, he's delivering on the show, and the show is like, he is excessively mean. It would be nicer if he was less excessively mean. That's not the most entertaining part of him, but there are some parts that are bizarrely mean. Like he's trying to make an example, like, oh yeah, like Stassi, she has this book coming out, and like I'll like say that's cool, but like I'm not gonna go fucking like get that book or read that book, and it's just so unnecessary and bizarre. It's like, what if you got a book, or like, what if you want to do anything? Why would you want someone to be like, oh, James, like, yeah, cool that you got a DJ gig, but like, I'm not going to go like to it or like to see it or to hear you do your DJ thing. It makes no sense. Even if you were like, oh, like DJing's like, I'm not that into going and seeing things, or I'm not that into reading, whatever he wants to say, or I'm not that into the basic book, I'm not the target demo, whatever it is. It's
out of the blue,
it's so weirdly like, he's got like, I don't know. I don't want to say it, but it's like he has almost like a bit of a missing piece of like how to socially interact. It almost seems like he doesn't get it. People probably seem like it's like he doesn't have any empathy. Like
maybe this is he's so much younger. You're saying I'm thinking he's in his 30s, but he's mid 20s. He's like 25. He's like really fucking young.
Yeah,
like a lot of people are pretty dumb until they're like older than that, basically.
Yeah, it can't be present until you're 35 at least.
I know, there's like something happens. Everyone's at a different rate, but there's some people who I feel like would say about themselves, like I was kind of an idiot until
to be president.
Which I'm thinking they're kind of comparable, but he's like a child in some ways. And compared, if you're 25, you're not even in your upper 20s, like you've not been around that long. Maybe it's partly why he's like so not handling it, because he or kind of seeming so detached because he doesn't have as much of a foundation. I don't even think about that when I watch him. Anyway. But yeah, going after Stassi, going after Brittany, it's like, why are you going after the sweet people on the show? And there's not that many who are like, seem indisputably friendly and nice. And he's just, let me attack the females who are not would say nothing, not go after me.
Yeah, so my long-term prediction, I think their relationship will work out. I think she's going to look back at this season and go, wow, I could way lay off. Like this, I look so good on this season compared to all of my other relationships. I think she already knows this, but so long as she can kind of like lose the little bit of the insecurity, it's going to work. And I also think she's going to be the most successful person of the whole cast in the long run. That's what I think. Just even though Tom have a bar and are very charismatic, and Lala's got the music thing and James has got the music thing, I think Stassi, for some reason, just the all around likability, like I don't know, I could see her going on to like mainstream America, possibly.
What do you mean in reality, or
I don't know what in. I mean, I just think as far as like.
She could go into like her podcast and her books and stuff.
Like you could.
She's very likable. I like her the most.
There's a chance that 20, 30 years from now, Stassi will still be in the mix of the world. It's possible because she has that aside from all of them being reality characters, she has that familiarity feeling that almost like people who like get to be on morning shows have. So I don't know. It's funny. It's
funny
like,
you say that. I mean, I like her. I think I totally agree. She's all around likable.
Yeah. So
and she seems like she has her shit together and actually can aspire to other media endeavors.
Okay, let's do two more. Kristen and Sheena at the same time. You got to do those two.
I have different feelings. I feel like Kristen, who I don't know much about, is like she just seems
it's because
like
realistically we have a bit of a blind spot because we haven't seen some of the early seasons. We just know them from Flash.
You have, right? Like
I haven't seen all the early seasons.
Yeah, I'm the boyfriend viewership demo, but yeah, Kristen just seems so unstable. She just seems on the verge of just breakdown at all times.
Yeah,
but
so things are not,
I don't see things
don't seem to be going too well for her in the season. Just
she seems sad in the reunion. Andy's like, "Are you dating anyone?" She's like, "No." You know that idea is like you got to be on solid, firm ground on your own 2 feet before you can have a good relationship. She like doesn't seem solid, so I see some if it's a real. I don't know what's happening for her, but she seems like maybe some like self help. Work on herself, not get in another relationship.
The idea that Raquel is going to get to work at SUR now.
She couldn't handle Tom. She's just gonna be like, she's gonna do more of this. She's just gonna do more of the same. She's gonna be emotionally unstable. I don't foresee a good next season.
Do you think she's
staying
on the show for like more seasons? Do you think they're gonna keep her around?
I don't know, because it's difficult because there's some people who I don't like on the show, but just because you
don't like some people.
I mean, Sheena is actually between Kristen and Sheena. Kristen stands out because she's such like an obvious train wreck, and in some ways that's like a little like we like seeing that on screen. Where Sheena just stands out.
You watch reality TV, you want it to have some feeling of like, oh no, we're not just seeing people like doing Instagram stories all the time, which is like kind of a refreshing thing about this show. At least it's not like, oh, we're bawling all the time.
They're not. There's some messes, and I like how you recognize being West Hollywood. Like I like how you kind of see they're like there, and that's until they all moved into houses. You could tell like they live in like apartments in West Hollywood. Like that just like a bunch of other people who are struggling bartenders and stuff. Like that is. I like how kind of real it is. But anyway, I think she's a mess in a way that I find compelling. So I can see her having more time. Sheena, she seems nice and likable, but she doesn't stand out to me. I think Kristen stands out more to me as a character that I think and care about and find myself like yelling at the TV about when the show's going on.
I don't know. I think Sheena saved herself with that whole fuckboy thing.
I love that line. She seems cool. I don't have anything bad to say about her. She doesn't annoy me. I think her... So she said that fuckboy comment, which was kind of baller in the moment. Yeah. But at the same time, when I watched the show, I was like, you're clearly dating these guys and you do want a relationship with them. She really does want it. She actually did seem like she wants a relationship. And I just feel like it's too close to home. I feel like I've known people who are wanting a relationship, but clearly the person they want a relationship with is not going to step up and actually reciprocate. So they're just going to like... make talk about it and be upset about it, and then you're like, can you just like break up with this person and be with someone different, or like stop talking about it? And I just don't find that interesting because it's so common. Like being with someone who's clearly not going to step up to the plate and date you, but you don't want to break up with them fully and look for someone who would, is like something I feel like I've seen. I'm already tired of it before I hear about it.
I just think it's really funny on this season. We didn't talk about it, but how Sheena actually did like have sex with some random model that she had come over. She had him come over thinking it would make this other guy jealous, who she was like having a friends with benefits relationship with, and then she actually had sex with the other guy, and he was like, no, I don't want anything to do with you now. And she's like, what? Like, I thought this would make you jealous and then you'd want to commit to me. And he's like, no, you fucked someone else. Like, please give me space. And she's like, what? My plan totally backfired. It's like, yes, this is obvious that this would happen. It's hilarious, too.
It might make him jealous, but it's not going to make him commit.
Did you see that whole scene, the Jackson-Brittany engagement party thing?
The part at the end of the seventh grade.
Yeah.
The place we've been.
Yeah. That's
went to a documentary party there.
Yeah, that's where we went for the Wild Wild Country event at the seventh grade, the same place as Jackson Brittany's engagement party.
Yeah.
But
and they thought we were related to what's his name?
To Kurt Russell.
Yeah, to the Kurt Russell
kick us out of them.
Yeah.
Alec was rocking the blonde hair at the time, so they thought he looked probably like a Russell because that's what they all have, long hair.
We're like, why have we not been kicked out of this photo corner over here next to the family? Anyway, yeah. So what were you referencing at their engagement party?
Oh no, the Sheena thing where it was just such a glorious fuck up where she's like, I'm gonna do this really smart thing where I'm gonna game this guy into like wanting to commit to me because I'm gonna go and like hook up with another guy, and like it's like if she had maybe gone on a date with him, that would be one thing, but once she had sex with the guy, he's like, no, I'm not interested in you. Like, you would have sex with another guy to get back at me? Like, that's not, or to just like try to get me more into you, that's not gonna work. But it was hilarious. It might work on I don't know if it would work if the genders were reversed. Maybe that's what she thought. She seems, it's really interesting because she's been playing this almost like this gender reversed type of or at least from the stereotypical gender reversed thing this whole season, where she's been with a lot of guys and trying to play these games, these mind games, and hasn't so much worked out, but it's been pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, I don't think trying to play mind games is a really good position to be coming from. It's like you genuinely need to be willing to just walk away. Like, that is the power. Being like, I'm going to play mind games, and this person may or may not actually be thinking about me at all.
Whatever. She was like,
I guess you liked it. I mean, do you have predictions for her? I feel like
I think Sheena's best thing is that she has a random story that seems to fit in any place. It's probably like a dream for editing because you can put her story in anywhere throughout the season that you want.
Great filler.
It doesn't seem to connect to anyone else's story, and then she can randomly be in scenes or friendly with any of the characters, and you never have to wonder whether or not Sheena's on good terms or bad terms with anyone because no one really like worries enough about like, oh my god, I'm so pissed at Sheena right now, because you can't be like super pissed at Sheena. It just wouldn't really make sense. It seems like maybe that's a recent thing, but it just doesn't seem like either just to be able to upset people enough. She just seems generally trying to be in a better mood, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, okay, so Tom and Ariana, or Tom or Tom Ariana, Tom Katie, what do you think for all that foursome?
I would just have to say about Ariana, I really relate to her getting pissed off about people asking her about her pregnancy all the time.
Oh, that's
I'm feeling that. I'm like, that must be so annoying. People are really, I don't know. I just feel like if you're in that position, I mean, I'm not in that position directly.
Yeah, so you're talking about the comment that was made where they're saying basically, Tom's asked on a red carpet, wow, you just opened Tom, like, what are you going to do now? And they're asking him clearly like a business question.
Yeah, like, what's your next
Ariana,
move?
What are you gonna do now? You got something cooking? Or just like some sort of random thing, like just the ridiculous.
When she's explicitly said she doesn't want kids who knows multiple times,
like you can't take her for her word. She's just not into it. It's obvious.
Yeah,
but people just don't believe it. It's the weirdest thing.
I'm very sympathetic to that because. Yeah. Sure, it can be a harmless question in a different context, but once someone's like, it's obvious they've never indicated, and in fact they've indicated the opposite, that they don't want a kid, must be so exhausting for people to constantly put that up and suggest that is the next best move. Yeah. Like, it must be just really annoying. It's like, actually, can my life just be cool independently of whatever like box you want to put me in, or whatever stupid expectation, as if having a kid is automatically a next best step for my life?
Or being married too. Yes. I honestly am really happy that Ariana and Ariana really holds that torch, but like, she's like an interesting character for all sorts of other reasons, but that is a really good thing that she continues to harp on the show. Like, a lot of people are like there's a lot of people who are trying to stand up for certain issues on the show. That one is like, there aren't many champions for it. Most people assume that you're either crazy or lying, and it's just nice that she keeps saying it and going, I don't understand why people think I have to want exactly what they want. And I just think that's like great, because I totally understand her, and I think there are a lot of people who do. It's just like great. It's great.
Yeah, I'm very sympathetic to that cause. And I'm like, have respect for it. And I'm like, I feel how annoying that must be.
Yes, everyone just assuming that you want babies and marriage, and especially because you're a woman, and that if you say you don't, you are lying and you secretly do.
Yeah, you can tell
just
me.
Like, it's just like, oh no, but is it because you're, what is it? It must be because you're lying, right? Because everyone wants what I want, right? Because I only want something because that's what everyone wants. And it's just like, wow, actually people can be different. And that's a really awesome way that she's different and like stands up for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Only good things to say, not really a prediction, but
yeah,
I think my prediction is that she will hold out on that and she is not lying. That's my prediction.
And continue to like evolve in her life.
Okay, let's talk about Tom Tom.
Tom Tom in general. It seems like they still have more. They kind of get into it that they feel a little disenfranchised in a way. They've invested in the company. Clearly, Lisa's brought way more capital. It sounds like they gave about 10%, and she's about 90% in. Mm-hmm. But she really keeps them at bay on the information status, and I think that is going to be a storyline for them. Is the fact that they put a significant amount of money for an initial business person. You put $100K, your name's on the place, and it happened. It was a storyline this season with the drink menu and with the creative control of TomTom itself. But I think now there's this new business aspect, which is they've put their money in, and the expectations of how they're going to get paid out, what their financial control is, and just ongoing being kept in the loop. Like, I feel it's only 3 months in, but I can really see that being a point of tension, is them being like, we put money in, we put ourselves into this, and we feel like we're, don't have the ownership that we were hoping for. Yeah, and not monetary ownership, but like, ownership and feeling of being brought into the loop.
Yeah, and honestly, like, here's one of the problems.
By Lisa.
I like single things. I like Scotch, I like beer, I like wine. Mm-hmm. Cocktail is not my.
I love cocktail.
Yeah, see, so
love me
a lot of people love it. It's a caveat, right? But the thing that I would say is that I thought that the things on the season, and I couldn't tell if it was played up for story or legit. And it could be played up for story, for just a conflict about the business, so that the business is more interesting to watch go. But the idea that they brought in both a drink consultant to change the drinks designed by the two bartenders who are the namesake of the place, and Lisa put her daughter actually technically in charge of the like drink menu, was, if real, so obnoxious, because just from a branding perspective, like, I don't know. If it's TomTom and you're going to West Hollywood, probably a lot of people who don't even live in LA are making a little pilgrimage to like the Surs and the TomToms of the world.
Definitely.
A lot of their clientele is people coming in for a trip to LA and going there.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you go straight to there. Like, you've seen it on TV, you come to LA, you want to check it out.
Yeah, they, you go there, and like, if Tom and Tom actually design the drink and you see it on the show, you don't give a fuck whether or not some drink consultant edited it. You'd rather have the Tom drink. That's like the purpose. It's like, I don't understand. It's like you go to I don't know. It just it seems like a bizarre move to undercut them when they are like, one, you're going to make more money off of them if you can actually use them as their own like legit drink consultants at long term, I feel like.
Maybe this is bullshit, but it did seem like there's kind of an economics of drink making. So if you have a concept for a drink, and it seemed like TomTom, they were like the true artists. Like, they have the love of the cocktail, and they came up with these awesome, fun, elaborate drinks, which I agree. Like, I would love to come in and just see what they made as they made it, even if they're wildly inefficient. But Lisa did it seemed like maybe the drink consultant thing isn't as much of, let me creatively say what the drinks is, but let me look at your menu and look at the difficulty and price point on these ingredients you're proposing to use. So if you have to do 1 out of 8 elements for some fancy cocktail, and we got to make some really elaborate thing that's going to cost a lot, like
take twice as long.
Take twice as long, so we're not going to be able to get as much drinks out. So there's a part of me that suspects maybe they're almost like the art house directors that are purely looking at the creative, and then Lisa's like, okay, let's produce this thing. Like, how do we get the same effect for half the budget kind of situation? Maybe I'm full of shit, but that's what it seems.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
So
Like, they were wildly
I could
creative.
totally believe that. I could totally believe that. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. But that will be the conflict for them next season.
Where do we think, what's going to happen with James Kennedy and Raquel? I think that's where
Raquel's going to work at SUR. It's happening. Lisa confirmed it, so I love that. I was very surprised that she's going to business school. I mean, admittedly, I don't know that much about her, but
master's. Is it
getting sorry, I misspoke. Getting a master's.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised by that just because she's so glamorous. It just, she doesn't carry herself as an academic necessarily.
A beauty queen.
Yeah, she self-references as a beauty queen. I was
honestly,
like,
I didn't even look it up. I didn't even look it up. She must have legitimately participated in a beauty contest and won. That's the only context I could think of someone
that she meant. Yes,
actually referring to themselves as a beauty queen. And then Jax has to say, I do not consider her a beauty queen. And it's like, one, that's just, well, I don't know, just unnecessary. And two, like, she might just be referring to that was what her career was before. So that's why you assume she wants to be on TV, but she actually just, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because James is so obnoxious, and I guess get that they don't like her in proximity, but she's I don't know, she seems kind of innocent in a way. It seems weird that they attack her so much, but anyway, she's going to work at SUR.
They attack her naivete, you know, they attack her
which
for
she does seem.
For seeming like she can't get a clue even when it's right in her face. And the fact that she admitted that she had a clue, but she still was playing. And she you know, she came out in a ridiculous outfit with those like ruffles and the whole deal. But then again, you know, it's not the show where people only wear like non-ridiculous outfits.
Yeah, she's got a job at SUR. Okay,
yeah,
so there we go.
Ridiculous things. It's almost like a fucking in-your-face deal.
She's like, maybe she plays that way, and they're like, "What are you gonna act naive just so you can?" And it could be that she knows exactly what she fucking wants to do.
Yeah,
and she's like, just not gonna do it. So she's gonna work there. That's gonna cause a lot of drama with Kristen and everyone else. And James, I feel like
Kristen doesn't even get to work there anymore, which is why she's gonna be so pissed about it. She's gonna be brewing.
She's gonna show up there though.
Yeah.
And James, I mean, he's been having this, you know, not being able to DJ there.
Is he going to see you next Tuesday? I wonder if
I think he's going to have to that's the only direction for him to go, because he either is going to fizzle out and just be like, oh, we're either going to have James having an independent story where he's like, I've started picking up other DJ slots outside of SUR, or he's going to go back and get that spot, and Lisa's going to be like, let's get past our differences. He gets see you next Tuesday. I mean, because what, he's going to get off the show? You are making me think that he's getting it back because you're saying that Sandoval is defending him because he's speaking for Lisa. And the fact that you think that makes me think, okay, well, if Lisa wants him in the show and the producers are giving him a favorable storyline so he has some saving grace worth being a character, he's going to stay in. And if he's going to stay in, he's got to come back to DJing See You Next Tuesday.
It's possible that so, okay, I'll take the contrarian on this one. I think he's going to... No. I think that's a very high possibility. It might even be a plus 50% possibility. But
okay.
I'll say the alternate point, which is... Lisa might hold him off for one more season. Which is that he won't get See You Next Tuesday this coming season because that would be in poor form, because he needs to still be punished, because he is neither sober like Lisa wants nor remorseful for his activities. And even though he is probably a moneymaker, and he's certainly a moneymaker for the show, they can rope him in through the connection of Raquel being working at SUR now. So they can still follow James through the connection of his significant other works at SUR. So they can rope him in for a season without actually needing to have him be working at SUR still. And he can still participate, have a full storyline, and you could keep the redemption story going for at least another season. He doesn't need See You Next Tuesday in the next season, but then, of course, eventually Lisa's going to want him to do it. She knows her assets, and he's one of her assets, I think, and the show knows their assets, and he's one of their assets. And I think unless he does something unforgivable to the actual, like, the production staff or to Lisa herself, I think he's got a spot. And I think that the fans, I mean, I feel bad for the fact that the fans were actually going after Katie online, apparently. Like,
I was surprised by that. I don't follow them a ton on social media.
Also,
I just watch
people,
the show.
Just to be real, obviously people on social media,
we have found out. Yes,
I don't know if Russia is interested in Vanderpump Rules, but that's always a possibility that when you see all these random haters, that it's some sort of bot account that's got like 50 sock puppets that just like, fuck Katie, you know?
Yeah. No, this is what we were saying. It's like, I can't tell if it's a Russian bot, a Russian person who's hired to act like a bot, or some random crazy person. Like, those are the three people who are commenting online, and it's very difficult to find out which one it is.
Yeah, you're like, no, it could be a Chinese bot.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, this is all to say that I guess people are hating on Katie online. It seems pretty unnecessary. I get that she got him fired, but like, he was really horrible to people. Imagine that was a real workplace. I know this is a reality show and we don't want him fired from the reality show because like that's kind of what everyone signs up for, assumption of risk. But in a workplace though, like the way he acted towards people is horrific. It is like, it's really tough. So I think they're going to want him back eventually, but I think it might be almost too poor for him to put him back next season. So I'm taking the opposite on that one. Okay, right. So anything else? I guess that's probably it.
I just love bringing the same intensity of analysis that we would to, you know, a conspiracy documentary or political one to Vanderpump, because, you know, it can be equally as engaging.
Yes, here's the unscripted.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.